And at that time, he actually kind of threatened me. He's like, look, do you want to stay in my building or not? So every mechanic or shop owner has that one car that will never leave their mind. They wake up in cold sweats at night. It's the one car that just really was the worst car or repair experience of their lifetime, of their career. And for me, it was a 1985 Volkswagen Rabbit Cabriolet. It was green in color, and it haunted me. It still haunts me to this day. So I had my shop going for about 6 months there in Halstead, in town, and everything was going well. My landlord at the time, I was renting that building. I didn't purchase it. He said, hey, I've got this car. It just needs a little bit of work. It's been sitting in my warehouse for a couple of years. See if we can get it running again. I couldn't really say no. It was my landlord. I didn't want to make him mad. So it's like, okay, drop it off. We'll take a look at it. He got it to the shop and parked it outside, and there was a layer of bird poop all over it. The cabriolet top was damaged. It didn't run. All the brakes were locked up. They were rusted so bad. We couldn't even push the car. And at that point, I was thinking, okay, this is not for us. I called the landlord up and I was like, this might be a little bit more than what we talked about. There's a lot of work. He said, oh yeah, price is not an issue. Go ahead and get started. I was like, wait a minute here. The car's not even worth prices. What do you mean price is not an issue? He's like, look, just do it. I need to get this car back on the road. I don't care what you charge me. Just get it done and get it running and driving. That's all I care about is running and driving. Okay, I guess we can probably get it running and driving. We got started on it. All the fuel lines were plastic and brittle, and half of them were broken. Like I said, the brakes were seized up. The engine would turn over, but it wouldn't start. It had Bosch Jetronic mechanical fuel injection. It had been sitting for what was thought was a couple of years. When we digged into the records that were in the glove box, it had been sitting for at least 10 years. It seems like that's always the way people remember time. I think that people are pretty good with time until it comes to their cars. I just had that replaced a year ago, and when you check the receipts, it was 5 years ago. This car hasn't been running for 3 years, and you find out it's been 10. It always seems to work that way. But anyways, I said, okay, enough. Let's just get this thing going and get it out of the shop. But we just kept running into problem after problem after problem. Then I get a call from the landlord. He's like, yeah, I know the engine turns over and won't start. Just go ahead and pull it, and we're going to go get it. I'll send it off and get it rebuilt. I was like, I thought we were just going to get it running and driving. Why are we rebuilding the engine now? And at that time, he actually kind of threatened me. He's like, look, do you want to stay in my building or not? I was like, well, our lease agreement doesn't involve your vehicle here. It doesn't have anything to do with your Volkswagen Rabbit. He's like, yeah, but it does include in the text of the agreement that I can terminate for any reason at any time. I was like, fine. I'll pull the engine. I got to keep staying here at the shop. I can't just leave tomorrow. I have to keep this business running. Fine, we'll get the engine out. And it just kept going and kept going. And we ended up actually pretty much restoring the car. Every time we'd get something done and get it fixed, he would say, okay, go ahead and do this. He really weaseled this in on us. And we really shouldn't have taken the job. But once we got it running and driving, and we got the brakes fixed where it actually would run and drive, we found out the AC doesn't work, the convertible top is torn. He goes and tells me, go ahead and pull the entire interior. I'm sending it off to be rebuilt. I'm like, come on, guy. We talked about getting it running and driving. We didn't talk about pulling the interior. We didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about that. So I talked with Mrs. Wizard about it. I was like, how do I get out of this? I can't just drop the car, dump it, because then the guy's going to terminate my lease agreement, and then we're going to be out on the street. Really, it was pretty screwy the way he did all this. But we came up with a plan. And the plan was, we had about 4 or 5 months left on the lease. And in that amount of time, we need to decide what we're going to do outside of this shop, where we're going to move or what we're going to do. And if we can string this along and make it last long enough, and we get a little bit done here, a little bit done there. Yes, we got this done. Now the AC's working. And when the day comes when we're going to leave, we leave the building with the car in it and just dump the thing. So we did get it running and driving. We got the AC working. We got the interior out of it. And in about that amount of time, we had decided It was time to move. We had purchased a larger building in Newton. And the landlord calls and says, where are we at with this car? I said, it is running and driving. The AC works, everything you want it done. He says, well, I wanted it prepped for getting it taken to the body shop. I wanted a few other panels. I said, tell you what, we just found a new place to move our shop. It's much larger. I will not be renewing my lease agreement. And he said, oh, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. I don't want you guys to leave. I said, no, why are you worried about that now when you threatened to terminate my agreement over this car? I said, no, it doesn't matter. We're leaving, and I'm also leaving your car here. It's running and driving. It's everything I talked about. But I'm not going any further. I'm dumping this. Anyway, push comes to shove. We get moved out. He brings the car a year and a half later and tries to claim warranty on it. Well, the AC quit working and now the alternator's not working. I said, I have a 1-year, 12,000 mile warranty on all work I do. You have exceeded that. There is no warranty on this car. He says, well, I haven't driven it since then. How could... I said, I did all that work and you didn't even drive it? It's just been sitting in the building? Well, yeah. I said, number two, it seems like to me you abused the car. You just dumped it. And number one, you don't have a warranty. There's nothing here to do. If you want us to fix the car, we might fix it, but I'm going to charge you for it. He said, forget it. Just forget about it. I heard about it later at a body shop. The car is still sitting there 4 years later at this body shop, unfinished, and it's rotting away. It's actually further behind than when I started on it. I don't understand what was the driving factor for this car. Why did he not take it to the next level? And why did he do it in the manner that he did? Why didn't he take it to a restoration shop out in California somewhere, or somewhere that specializes in frame-off restoration, start from scratch, rebuild everything? And it's probably because of cost. It was one of those rare situations where I normally would have turned down the vehicle, but I really didn't have a choice. I had to keep the business afloat. I had to keep everything going. I took it on, and I really shouldn't have. At that time, I couldn't pick and choose. But now I'm in a position now in the shop I'm in now. There's many times where we get a phone call, hey, I got something similar situation, Volkswagen Rabbit, blah, blah, blah. I've been sitting for 2 years. And I'm like, nope, no chance in that. I am not interested. I already know where we're going with this. And usually I can get out of these proposals from customers or potential customers by simply saying, it will cost 2 to 3 times more than the vehicle's worth to get it back on the road. I will need half up front. That usually solves it. They say half up front. I say, so yeah, your vehicle's worth 5 or 6 grand. It's probably going to take 15 to get it back on the road. I need 7 or 8,000 up front. It's usually a click, they hang up, or I get told I don't have that kind of money. And then my question is, why are you calling me? There are some situations where I have a customer who has worked with me for a year or more. I know that money is not an issue. I know that they say they will pay it. They will pay it. They don't bicker on with the cost. I had a customer recently bring me a 79 Nova. It was his wife's back when she was 14 years old. It's been sitting for a long time. He asked, could you please get this back on the road? I don't care how. I'm not going to bother you. Just do the job. You have an open checkbook. I don't care what it costs. He's already put a lot of money down, and I have no questions whether or not he's going to pay the bill. I haven't had to fight with a guy, and it really has been a positive situation. I don't do these very often. It's a very rare situation that I'll take on these cars. But that rabbit will always haunt me, probably until my dying day. And I know from that experience what to expect on every consecutive experience after that. Most of the time, it turns out negative in those situations. And it's too bad. So that is the worst car I've ever worked on in my life.
We'd like to thank the Ticket Clinic for supporting VINwiki this month. When you get a ticket, no matter where it happens, you're risking points on your license, costly fines, insurance premium increases, and risks of suspension or jail time. So it's more important than ever to have great representation. The Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm that can help you fight a ticket no matter where you get it. It's easier than ever to start a relationship with them. You'll just take your ticket, snap a picture of it, and text that picture to 305-305. You can also reach them at the link in the description below to thank them for their support of VINwiki and fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.